Yeah, there's some great.
Good evening, everybody. To those here in the audience and you at home watching. This is the Wednesday, August 23rd edition of the Celebration Residential Owners Association monthly meeting. It is exactly 6 o'clock. Oh, good morning. Has the meeting been properly noticed? It was properly. And we verified quorum. We actually have everyone here tonight. I should stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we'll call the meeting to order. What is it now, 6:02? Yes. All righty. It's time for owners' comments. Take from the audience, we'll take, if you're watching us online, just give us a wave and let us know that you want to speak. Lauren, do you have a? Oh, there's one person signing in. We're waiting for the sign-in list. We're going to take here in the room as they have signed in. You got 3 minutes. Please come up and state your name and address. All righty. First person, Gary Hudspeth.
Good evening, Jerry Hudspeth, 1471 Resolute Street. I'd like to speak tonight about the proposed changes or updates to the owner and service area responsibility charts, which took up quite a bit of portion of your board book. I looked at Spring Lake Gardens, which is my home, so I can't say I've looked at all of them. I looked at mine. There are some unclear and incorrect consistencies. For instance, under the category of doors-garage, it currently says repair and replace any damaged garage door and exterior door hardware as a service area requirement. My English tells me that service areas are responsible for replacing my garage door. No, it should be garage door hardware and exterior door hardware. I like it to be a little more clear. I think you're going to get in trouble if somebody reads that incorrectly and says, wait, you said here you need to replace my garage door if I ran into it. Another category is irrigation. It is really not clear in the service area owner responsibility chart as to who's responsible for irrigation, corrections, replacement, repair, and the Spring Lake Garden homes. I go back to the supplemental declaration, which we all signed if you're in the service area when we closed on the house. And in there it says that the service area is responsible for repair and maintenance of all irrigation equipment except for the time clock. And that's only the electricity for the time clock that I'm responsible for. But it's unclear now because the current guidelines that you were proposed to talks about in the unlocked gated areas. We've deviated quite a bit from the supplemental declarations over the years. The only changes that can be made to the supplemental declarations are by TCC and 75% affirmative vote of all the residents. And I look at this as changes to the wording if you approve these tonight. There's also a comment about concrete. You say that I'm responsible for replacing the walkways. Well, I think you meant to say lead walk, but that's unclear again. So what I recommend is please do not approve this versions of these owner/service area until we get a third party and review and check all the language go back to the supplemental declaration.
Gotcha, Gary.
Thank you.
Thanks for that, Gary, because you reminded me I had questions myself on that, so. Okay, next is Shelley.
Shelley Reiki, 1121 Indigo Drive. So I'm sure that it comes to no surprise to all of you that I support the recall efforts. I'm sure that you've seen a post or two from me stating that I would be out in the community collecting ballots, and I've not tried to hide my involvement. With that being said, I feel that I am being harassed or intimidated by a particular board member, Celia. I would like the community to know that you have shown up to these locations where I've been collecting ballots and you're video recording me. You are, right?
No.
You did?
No.
I waved to you. I said, hi, Celia. On
Wonderful.
3 different occasions, you had your phone out and you were video recording me. While it may be a public place and there's nothing I can do about it, I would like to know what you intend to do with the recordings. Are you posting them somewhere? Are you using them as retaliation against me for supporting a cause, which is within the legal rights of Celebration residents? I'm seeing a pattern here. I spoke out publicly about Lot D, and then I was removed from the Covenants Committee. Now you can say what you want, but I did make a public records request, and I have all the emails from every board member that includes my name. And so I do know what I'm talking about when I say that all the arguing, belittling, name calling, etc., that I witnessed in these emails and witnessed in these meetings continually by our board of directors over this last year has been disrespectful to the residents who voted for each of you. Our own board president, Cindy, has made comments about me, which I have the emails for, that I am hard to work with. I would ask you to solicit the opinions of Jack McLaughlin, Charles Richard, Gary Hudspeth, Stephen Frontfelter, Sandy Cheslick, and Bridget Krulik, all who are former members of Covenants Committee, board members, committee members. All of these people I have worked with, and I would believe that they would say I'm not hard to work with. Cindy has made comments about I've asked to resign. While I did, I was not, I believe I was just the only one to say it directly to you, Cindy. You've also said that I have my own agenda where the committee is concerned. I feel that is incorrect. Did I alert Grand Manners to problems within the village where I live? Yes. Were those properties in violation of community standards? Yes. Did I get approached by residents who knew I was on the Covenants Committee? Yes. And I have statements and emails that I've reached out to each one of them to provide to this board to say they sought me out, not the other way around. I feel that you have made it extremely difficult to work with Grand Manners. You continue to interrupt Gary and others on the Covenants Committee when suggestions were being made about how to better prepare for Covenants meetings so that we had what we needed to be successful. I end with the fact that I'm not asking to be on this board. I'm not running for the board. I am simply a resident who feels very passionate about a community center, who feels very passionate about community involvement, of which I feel this board is not about. That's
Next is Jill Furlong.
Hi, I'm Joe Furlong, 907 Spring Park Loop. My comment tonight is about CROA conduct on the unofficial porches. The posts that are made and the information that is shared. If an email is sent to the board, it shouldn't be posted on the back porch or the front porch or anywhere unofficial by anyone except the resident that sent it. It was posted, an email was posted by the spouse of a board member of our president. Why did he have access to something that was sent in confidence to the board? He shouldn't have it. If he has access to that, what else does he have access to? If we get fined, can he see those? Can that be held against anybody? It's inappropriate conduct. I was challenged by Celia to show up at a meeting and I would get the whole story about half-truths and lies that had been apparently posted on one of the porches. I'm here. Where's the story? Let me know all about it, because you didn't want to put it in writing on the back porch or the front porch, where you were happy to drop a comment and then run. That is hostile. It makes the entire town think that, you know, you're just going to start a fight and then leave. Anybody who sees it is incredulous that you're allowed to post. You are posting as a board member. You're not posting as a private citizen. You post announcements, you post all kinds of things. You don't post as a private citizen. You don't have that right once you've been elected. The things that you do and say hold sway. And so you should be held responsible for that. I think you have violated, and Cindy has violated, the code of conduct. The rule specifically is 1G, that states that each board member shall maintain the confidentiality of any board documents, materials, or other information that are designated as such for the purposes of protecting the board's best interest or the privacy of a member. Your posting of those emails violated that. And I think that you should both resign from the board for that reason. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Jill. Online, we have Andrew with his hand up.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Andrew DeGanzik, 1127 Mosaic Drive. Comments tonight are regarding the action items surrounding the GoGov application. From what I gathered, it seems like there's a conflict between the technology committee who's recommending using it and Grand Manor's management who's against it. In the write-up, I understand management's recommendation that maybe GoGov doesn't support all the different services we're looking to do in an application, but from my understanding, it seems like GoGov is very supportive of various tickets and routing them accordingly. And it'll be at no cost to CROA for the next 2 years. So in deliberating later tonight on the matter between the board, I hope you guys take it into account that it almost seems like we're getting a GoGov free trial for the next 2 years based on cost. And then if we do like it, then we can continue to use it with pitching in from the CCDD, CROA, and I think the CNOA as a shared cost. Meanwhile, that has a 2-year runway for Grand Manors to get the community app up and running, fully functional, and exactly what we need for amenity reservations, payments, and things of that nature. So my recommendation to the board as a homeowner is to move forward with the GoGov application and have Grand Manors continue to work on their own application for other matters we're looking for within the community. Thank you.
Thanks, Andrew. Mr. Greg Felak.
Hey, Greg Filak, 1445 Stickley Avenue. Speaking purely as a resident, not in my CDD role. 2 things. Number one, I appreciated the workshop yesterday on the playgrounds. I think a lot of frustration around the table, but I appreciate at least the engagement for those who showed up to talk about it and take the heat rounds and try to figure out what we can do to fix this. My second comment is around the CCFC fields. It's been 51 days since y'all had an emergency meeting where you decided ultimately to move on the 2021 engineering report. I understand from an email from Lauren that may be reported on tonight, but I didn't see it on the agenda, so I'm not sure. Obviously, this is already affecting all of the fall sports, soccer, AAU, flag football, and lacrosse. Honestly, at this pace, it's likely to impact your winter sports of NFL flag and some of the soccer skills programs that are out there. And honestly, probably even possibly into the spring season. We haven't seen any updates in 51 days on this. I understand there's questions if the engineering report was even valid. I don't know if there's a project schedule. Really, nothing's been communicated on this, that we've got a $4.5 million asset And it's been almost 2 months. We haven't been able to hear about where we're at in getting this fixed. I'd also say that I understand.
Sorry. Is that,
Okay.
that's what sorry.
Yep.
Okay.
Thanks.
Anybody else in here or online? Anybody? All right. Okay. Do you have a motion to adopt the agenda?
I'll make a motion for discussion.
Second.
I'd like to move the master plan advisory group from discussion to an action item, because we did talk about in the July workshop that we would vote on that in the July board meeting, and we didn't do that. So I think we need to take action on that now for discussion as an action item. I also think that we should move action item A1, the service area responsibility charts, off the consent agenda and onto the discussion action required. Sorry.
I would suggest just fully removing it, because that was language provided by Charlie, the counsel at Larson Slayton. So clearly it needs to be reviewed by Tom first.
Okay, we'll go down to that.
And I also had a lot of questions about it too.
So we're gonna remove the consent agenda, one. A1.
I also suggest that we move action items 6 and 7 to the consent agenda, because they're of the same spirit as the consent agenda items.
Under action required, David?
The action items 6 and 7.
From section B to section A,
Correct.
number 6 and number 7.
Is this a motion you're adding to Jared's motion? So that you're agreeing with what he said and you're adding this, or?
No,
We're just all adding.
yeah, we're adding,
This is just discussion.
we're reviewing. Yeah.
That's not like a motion.
I'd like to add to the discussion items, the exit of the 851 building, please, what's to discuss.
Is that in your management update, Lauren, or?
I'd rather have a separate discussion.
I think 2 board members want to have separate discussion on it. So
30-60
Yeah.
and 30-50.
So what are we doing?
I'm writing. Okay, so I've got. Jared, you want to move the master plan discussion item to an action item, but what action did you want to take?
So
Because there's in the board packet, there's several things that I believe need to be discussed.
yeah, and they can be discussed as an action item. The action would be what we said in July, which was taking the documents that Charles and I were tasked with writing and executing those with management to begin the process of forming the advisory group.
But I haven't seen, Charles, you didn't send me your,
I mean, it's not attached to the board packet.
so we
I'm
didn't have
good
that
with
to
staying in
review.
discussion, but I'll certainly entertain action. You know, obviously table things too for action, but
We can't necessarily vote on some, but we don't.
what if you move it to the last action item? So then it would naturally lead into discussion if you don't end up taking action on it.
Sounds like a plan to me. Okay. So we are moving master plan advisory group from a discussion item to the last action required item.
So that would be number 13.
That's wonderful. We are taking off the service area responsibility charts entirely, pending further review. We are moving number 6 and 7 from the action required section to the consent agenda.
So will that become 10 and 11?
Yeah. Is it 5, 6, and 7?
Just 6 and 7.
Just 6 and 7.
Not 5?
And you good? So you good? Okay. And then we are adding the 851 Exodus to discussion items. Did I get
We're
everything?
adding discussion items, are we moving that?
Charles, you feel like I do, it should be right at the top there somewhere?
which one?
The 851
think it's priority.
Yep.
I would move
I
it.
thought you.
Checking.
So we're gonna make that A.
Sure.
I would move the legal services RFP down.
Down to,
Or
wait, so A will become the A51. B, you want to leave this celebration email for residents? Sorry,
I'd move that down. I mean, again, group discussion. Just think of prioritization.
okay, so you're thinking A51 is first. What do you feel is second?
Get master plan advisory group, right?
Well, that's what the action item.
So then, this plan, where's Lauren? What's your thought on?
That can be just part of the management updates.
Okay, so take that off.
Okay, taking off the emergency preparedness plan, because that's part of Lauren's
I'd move,
management update.
I'd move incorporation up also based on the CDD meeting too. They were adamant that we need to talk about that. and have
You
some
wanna
discussion.
move that to B?
I would move that to B.
Alleviate this strain on the middle class.
Legal celebration email to B.
See somebody actually plan.
Do you agree with the incorporation?
Yes.
So now we have under discussion items. Master Plan Advisory Group may carry over, but then it would be the A51 building. It would be incorporation. It would be legal services, RFP, and it would be celebration email for residents. Got everything? Okay.
Oh, playground liaison. Did we add a,
That can be part of management.
Yeah, we're gonna do that at management.
we need to vote on that through an action item?
Well, so I guess for point of order, Cindy, if management makes a recommendation for a board vote under our management agreement, does that board vote need to be an action item on the agenda? All right, so we would need an action item on the agenda. We're gonna make a motion to appoint a board liaison to the park playground equipment project.
So can we put that in as 11? Move fee waivers and non.
Right under the board liaison.
An action item?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't we just make that number one that we took off?
Well, it's bucket, we can bucket it in with the liaison and the madam. It's all just, again, whatever everyone wants to do, but just for
We'll amend number 10 to include appointment of board liaison to the playground equipment project.
Yes, again, for everyone's.
Anything else? Okay. All right, so do I have a motion to, Jared, you approved the agenda for discussion. Do you want to approve it now?
Approve everything as we just discussed. Motion to approve as we just discussed.
Charles, you in?
I'll second, yes.
Okay. Motion by Jared, second by Charles, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the approval of the minutes.
I just have one thing. I'm not sure if it was corrected. I don't think it was.
I abstained in the covenants.
Yeah. Charles, I corrected it on the electronic version.
In the second.
It's not the one that you have, so.
And Jared, did you want to make a comment? on-
Yeah, the way that the playground discussion is paragraph on the spring park playground discussion, that is not accurate as to how things were said. So that whole section needs to be reviewed and rewritten.
Okay.
Just because I understand facts have changed from then to now, but since it's a historical document that people reference, it needs to be accurate to what was said at the time.
Do you have a motion to approve with those two
I'll make a
changes?
motion.
Second.
For those defined changes?
Say again, Jim?
Oh, the motion is to approve with those changes?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think we need to see that. We
Wanna see it?
just need to table that.
Yeah, I just tabled it for this month.
You withdraw your.
Yeah, we'll do it on us reviewing the new minute.
Yeah.
Okay.
So would you and
So,
I'll withdraw my second.
we have a motion to table it now?
You withdraw your motion.
table until adjustments are made and we review
Correct.
them.
Okay, and second?
Second.
Okay.
Jim can second.
I'll second that.
Okay. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Righty. Financials for July.
Who's gonna, Miss Jen?
Do you have anything pulled up?
Yes, I will pull it up.
Oh, she's here.
I was looking for you up there.
I was too.
July ended with a $5,500 deficit, so not very much. So year to date, we're at 92,000 deficit. Our fund balances currently, the operating account is at 872,000. The replacement is at 1.9 million, and the capital is 3.2 million. We have since put some money in reserves. We have $1 million, or in investments, excuse me. There's $1 million in the replacement fund and an investment at Truist, earning 4 point something. And then there's 1.5 at Truist from the capital fund, also been invested in the last 30 days. We're making progress moving all the accounts over from PacWest to CIT. The capital fund has been 100% moved and PacWest has been closed down. So that is all sitting in CIT now. And the reserves is about 90% done, and operating is still in progress. Any questions?
Can I give you a task, Bridget? Between now and our action item number 8.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
I said, can I give you a task to do between now and action item number 8? I'd like to know in each of, since we're going to be moving some more, investing some more funds and CDs, I'd like to know of each fund, operating, reserves, and capital, how much is in each maturity. So we've got, $1 million in demand, say for operating. We've got $500,000 in a 3-month maturity. Sure. We've got, and how that shakes out between all the funds. I have an idea we're going to be spending some money. So.
On finance, I just want to say in the August budget workshop, I made a recommendation to use part of the $433,000 balance of offset funds to help pay for some new labor that we need. And after further discussion with the finance committee, I want to make sure that I say that I don't think that is a good idea anymore. The reason being is that it solves the issue for the budget for this cycle, but in the future, we would have shortage for those 5 salaries in 2024. And then an increase then would be disproportionate. So I retract my recommendation as we go forward on budget conversations. The finance committee was unaware of these new positions, but they are, when they presented the first budget to the board, but they will have another round of review and take those added requests and see where adjustments can be made. So just an update of what my recommendation was at the last budget workshop.
Do we have a date for that meeting yet?
I don't think we do. Well, it would be the next finance committee meeting, which
It's regularly scheduled finance.
Yeah, but I don't even know if
Which
that's.
means we need to schedule one between now and the board budget workshop next month, because your next scheduled finance committee meeting is until the end of next month.
Okay.
So we'll send out an email tomorrow morning about that.
And maybe they can just switch instead of having it move it from the end to earlier rather than to, but we can let Andrew.
Up to them.
Yeah. Okay. So that was my only other comment on finance.
Anything else to add, Mr. Treasurer?
Nope, that's pretty much it. Except that, well, no, I guess I could say that the question is going to be, do we fill those positions? And if we do fill some or all of them, does it then, if it's not going to be taken out of the funding the way we originally said at the last meeting, will we then be putting it into the full budget so it shows up as an actual operating cost in the salary line item? And the question was raised in some emails about whether it was all CJC or some of it is CJC.
No, they would be, well, one of them could arguably be a CJC. The project management vendor services position could arguably be a CJC position. The porters would be solely CROA positions, just like the maintenance team is fully CROA. Because they don't support CANOA at all.
And for the benefit of the people in the audience that maybe weren't at the last discussion, one is a project manager to handle all the projects for Grand Manners, all the different construction projects and repair projects. The other is to hire 4 porters/janitors to take care of the pools themselves, the lavatories, the showers, on a very thorough basis and on a 7-day basis to respond to
12 hours a day.
Well, there'll be 12 hours of coverage, but scattered, they won't be there on site for 12 hours. They'll be floating between different pools, but that'll give a higher level of cleanliness. Those showers and bathrooms will be refurbished and redone over the next few years. They're in the engineering study, be scattered out over a few years. But this will help maintain them until we get to that.
The professional fees, engineering, 1456. Is that the CERTA? That is, okay. Thank you.
And a bill from reconstruction experts as well.
So that's all in there. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, anything else on the financials? Okay, moving on. Management update, Lauren.
All right, current vacancies, we are full up on maintenance techs and parks and rec positions. We will have an inspector and another maintenance tech come on board in the fourth quarter. We will start recruiting next month for those positions. So hopefully they will start early on in October. Town hall building, there's not a lot of updates. CERTA and reconstruction experts are in a holding pattern since your last meeting because we've not given them any directive. There have been further discussions at the board level about this, but as was noted in Monday's management report to the board, when we were replacing the insulation in the walls here, there were 2 snakes found, along with the frog that was found previously and the nest of hornets in there. And I will say the insulation in my office, the day after it was replaced, it was soaking wet again because it rained that day. So just the building is in a state of disrepair still, and just getting worse at this point. Obviously more to talk about during the discussion item. Island Village, it came to our attention that there's a lack of a lift station out there. There's some plumbing issues out there that's impacting the landscaping. We will be double watering to keep the new sod alive out there. And we're also asking the board to appoint a liaison anatomy to help work with the CDD on correcting some of the issues that are going on out there. The playgrounds, we had the playground. Yep.
Last night we had a really good meeting regarding the playgrounds. Really appreciate the board's time last night. I think for all of us, it was a reset button. We were charged with finding a project manager by the end of business day on Friday. This morning, we found an independent third-party 1099 employee project manager. I spoke with Jared and Cindy just before the meeting, got their blessing to move forward with this person, Yulia. And on action item 9, later on in the agenda, I'll be making a recommendation to the board to appoint Jared as the board liaison to the project. That was a request by the project manager to have a board liaison that she could work with directly, and that will be our recommendation. But again, I appreciate the meeting last night. I think it was a reset button for all of us, and I think we're on the right path.
For the CCFC fields, originally we had discussed with the board possibly bringing on vendor services to handle that RFP and project. After the board met with vendor services a couple weeks ago, the decision was made to not go that route. So I've set up meetings with MBV, the company that did the soil testing previously, and a couple other similar firms to see if they're interested in providing owner's rep services, writing the RFP for the project. MBV is very interested in doing it and has promised me a bid by Friday. The other two are contemplating whether they not want to provide the service or not, so we will see. We've talked and walked with one vendor who may bid on it just to get their thoughts on the field themselves. We have another 2 walks scheduled later this week with other vendors, just so we're gathering as much information as we can before we issue out this RFP. Emergency preparedness. Thanks to Natalie, we've updated our emergency preparedness plan. We redo this every year after lessons learned from the previous year. We also have agreements with reconstruction experts, CROA, and our landscapers to lock in emergency pricing and to guarantee that we're the first on the list that they respond to. So if there is a hurricane this year, they will be out here first to help assist with us with any mitigation, roofing, water damage, down trees, down limbs, etc. We launched Monday.com within the staff a couple weeks ago. Almost everybody has populated their boards with their project information and task checklists. For those of you who don't know, Monday.com is a project management tool. It's also kind of a task management tool as well. The board was given visibility into the management dashboard and into the large project dashboard, which is where the project manager will be feeding in information about the playgrounds as well. So the entire board will have visibility. We are hoping to roll out a embedded dashboard into the website so the community will see where resources are going, what projects are being worked on. So you can go in and actively look, and it'll be updated regularly by the management team throughout the weeks. Covenants has been doing inspections and re-inspections. They just held their committee meeting last week. ARC had their meeting last night. Processing applications.
We have our joint meeting.
We have a joint meeting coming up. Resident Services is continuing to assist. And the later hours seem to be helping with people getting their IDs and assistance after hours instead of the Saturday hours.
Has there been any noise? I know earlier this year, last year changed it to close on the weekends. Has there been any?
I have not recently seen any emails or complaints about that change.
That's something we need to revisit.
We can put out a query.
Okay.
I don't know if any of you have.
Maybe put a pin in that for next meeting, just to maybe revisit it. Because I know there was some heartburn, I think, in the community around that.
In here, there's a lot of projects that the management team has completed. They've been moving and really trying to keep up with all the maintenance items. There's been a lot of issues on the maintenance front, especially with them being down people.
Where are we on charges that we discussed a couple of months ago at Lakeside?
No, we didn't do anything. We need to do something.
There was no action taken.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'll need to add that as an action item and move on to the next.
Okay. Thank you.
Question on the emergency preparedness. You mentioned hurricanes. If my memory serves me correct, there was a snafu with the county last year when we had a hurricane, and sand and sandbags was not provided.
So last year, the county made the decision to not have the sandbags here in Celebration, although we offered up their ability to do so. They have since reached out this year to us and Nikki about having them here in Celebration and available.
Okay. Yeah. It just felt like we were defenseless last year, and for whatever reason.
Yeah, I'm not sure why they made that change last year.
But we're back to.
But they have requested the ability to do that this year. Whether they choose to do that or not, I'm not sure.
Understand, as long as the advanced work is done so that systems are ready to go.
Yep.
And approval from them, because they provide the sand and the bags. And,
Yeah.
And people provide their own labor to fill the bags.
As part of the emergency preparedness, is that also system redundancies and backups? So like everything that's digitized, if this thing gets blown over, do we have backups of all the art records? Is everything financially backed up? Where do we have all that? Is that part of the plan?
Jose has been working on that since he started, because you didn't really have backups and redundancies built in. You are now, everything is fully backed up completely, server wise and cloud wise. So you're covered there.
It's a double or triple backed up, is it not?
So at least the rest of this for discussion when it's the actual topic though.
Did we pull the emergency preparedness?
Yeah, we did.
We pulled it off?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Okay. Sorry, continue.
Jose, you were gonna say something.
So it's backed up internally, and then there's a duplicate that's about
40 to 50 miles out. And then we have a third copy that's in Canada.
They're already. Thank you.
So the only other thing I will say is we're implementing to Town Hall 411. The first one is August 31st at 5:30 p.m. Residents can come by. There will be wine and cheese, salami, fruit for you, and we will have the opportunity to ask me anything about Town Hall operations, CROA, CNOA, CJC, CCS, and I will answer what I can.
That's great.
No wine for you then.
No wine for me, though.
That's a good idea. And how from 5:30 till?
To 6:30. If I need to, I'll be doing it on a monthly basis. So if I need to extend the hours or change the hours, we'll do that. But this is just a kind of a test run. That it? All right. So,
Committee and partner updates. Anything from any of the, well, actually, we asked the committees to kind of give us an update on their goals and objectives this year based on the resolution that each one had. I believe you have been working on it. What can you tell us?
So I'll start with Technology Committee, the Key Card Access Initiative. Tom Hole and John Greenberg have attended several product demonstrations. Quotes have been received, and they're waiting for the final vendor to provide dates for the last demo. The intention is to move to a new key access system that can integrate with our current surveillance system and provide Bluetooth accessibility, which will be linked to smartphones. Celebration website rebuild. You're currently on hold because we don't have control over your celebration.fl.us domain name. This was discussed at the CJC meeting with Paige from TCC. They have their attorneys working on it since about a week and a half ago. So they have no problems or theoretical issues handing it over. It just has to go through their legal team and intellectual property attorneys before they hand over control, and then we can fully go live with the rebuilt website. Video conferencing initiative. A walk's been done with Anil, John, and Jose, and upon further review and discussion, it was put on hold because the 851 building, we don't want to start installing new equipment. Obviously, when this building's going to be torn down. They are looking at conferencing capabilities at the Jones Room and Heritage Hall and have made steps to make that happen there. Future potential locations are the Island Village Clubhouse and the CCFC room that we use for the green room quite frequently, and we've used it for a couple of dog park committee meetings as well, I think. GoGo testing and ONR testing have been going on. And I think the team itself is doing a lot of work and really highly engaged with Jose.
Can we change this from the liaisons giving the reports to
This is,
management?
no. I asked, we discussed the last meeting. Each committee has goals and objectives that they're supposed to complete within the year. A lot of them have timelines attached to them.
Okay.
So this is what this is, looking that we're already.
Yeah, many of those weren't on the list. So many of those were brought up in the committee while they've been meeting. So
Well, because one of the.
well, let's just say this. As long as I can still have the chair come up and speak from the committee's perspective, I'm okay with this happening.
Well, this is strictly with their resolution, and part of their things in the resolution is that they will work with Jose to accomplish things from town hall.
Which I happened to vote against and asked to defer until we have a new board. So I'm not in agreement. We talked about revisiting it in June. We have not. So
I lost, Jim, I'm sorry, I lost you. What are we talking about now?
committees,
Yeah,
their charters,
yes.
the fact that it was rewritten fairly substantially last year at the end of the session. If I voted against it. We talked about it at the organizational meeting with the new board that we now have seated. And you mentioned that we would look at them again in June and revisit it. We have not done that.
To see if we wanted to change the goals and objectives?
No, the wording, the wording was changed. And I don't.
And they were all sent to the board before we voted on them to review.
Can I speak?
Well, yeah, but I'm trying to stay with you on this. Go ahead.
Should I pause after each sentence and make sure?
I'm trying to stay with you on this. I'm not sure what it is you're saying.
I am saying it's the same thing I did at the February board meeting and the same thing that I did at the organizational meeting, which is I believe it was rewritten inappropriately to make the committees defer to management.
The function of the committees is to support management.
No, it's to support the board.
The board and management.
It's to support the board.
It's voted for and enforced. I think we need to talk about it next meeting. But I agree with, I'm with you. I think we need to revisit it, but in the interest of moving on, do we want to?
I'm totally willing to go on. I just want to make sure that the committee gets a chance to have their own report.
Can we revisit that, just the overall resolution, just at least a discussion next
You
month?
want all of them?
Just a general discussion in the interest of being able to move on.
But would you like Lauren to send you the current ones?
Why don't we just agree to discuss it next month and move on?
Well, I was thinking send you them so you can review them. So you
Put it on the discussion item for next month and we'll solve it next month.
Okay.
Just in the interest of being able to get through when we're 45 minutes on.
So is it not a fact that the board resolutions stand because they were voted on by the majority? So the resolutions are what they are, and that's what we're operating on unless changed?
That is absolutely correct. I am not questioning anything of that. I'm reminding the residents and homeowners of my position in February. And I'm also reminding Cindy and other people at the organizational meeting that we're going to revisit the whole thing, not just the goals that we put in for them. Okay, so that's what I was doing. David, I don't know how you perhaps got that I was challenging it. It was a board decision. It was passed.
Okay, just
it's currently what we're doing.
That's right. Okay.
Next month.
Okay.
Next month.
We'll revisit.
Should we do this next month as well? This update, this goals and objectives update?
Sure. Because we're halfway through the year. Halfway through the board year.
Yeah, it's good.
Good time to calibrate it.
Actually, no. They didn't really start till the end of April. And it's only August, so that's 4 months.
March, April, May, June, July, August, 6 out of
They did not start in March.
Okay.
Can we just agree to, let's agree to talk about the fluid situation?
How about we move on to board
Thank you.
liaison updates?
Thank you.
We'll use the first one with the hand up.
Yeah, we did ARC last night. We had 18 applications. It was a full 3-hour meeting. And it was the usual mix of approvals, requests for further information, and a few disapprovals. And a number of, which also happens is approving concept. And sometimes, particularly architectural representatives will come in and say, well, somebody wants this, but we're not sure how ARC's going to treat it or what their concerns are going to be. And then since I don't vote, just reporting that they will say, okay, well, this is what we see, this is what we are happy about. And then there's a give and take and a discussion, and it's approved in concept at that degree, but there's no final approval until the architect comes back or the owner comes back with a final submission. So it's always a mix of all of those things. And while it was only 18 last night, I believe they average, what do we have in here? 118 applications were processed, because most of them happen online. And it's only the structural ones that take place pretty much in person, where somebody wants to put on a deck or build a swimming pool or those kind of things.
park is very busy.
I don't know, but most of the not board members, committee members go out and inspect all of these on their own, individually, read all the documents and stuff. They really put a lot of personal effort into it, and then back and read the guidelines to see where the particular project sits in the guidelines.
Who would like to be next? Are you assuming you're done? You're done?
I'm done.
Okay.
And we already heard from finance.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
But Jared, and Jared already commented, but we'll see if he has anything else to say. I'll just work our way down the table, Celia.
Okay, so I'm only using my phone because this is my computer. This is for the service area committee. I had Rose send me an update.
Can the board members speak up? We're having a hard time hearing.
Sure. Okay. Can you hear me now?
Thank you.
Okay. This is for the service areas. Gary, thank you, because that's one less thing that we have to discuss tonight with all that approval. Rose submitted for approval the fall pressure washing. She sent out an RFP to 22 vendors, 6 responded. The other project going on in the service areas is planting and mulching in Oak Pond Town. Much needed and agreed with the homeowners that showed up to the budget meetings. That's for the service area update. Next is the special events. They had the John Gidding book signing at Heritage. That was a success. On Spot Dermatology Clinic continues to come. They're here in July and they're coming back, I think, in October. They're doing really good things for the community, and that's under the that's under the health cornerstone. We had the Q&A with Deputy Jerry. About 30 residents showed up. It was very informative. We had the murder mystery dinner that generated $3,410 in revenue. I'm pretty sure I'm accurate on that. We have Food Truck Friday coming up. The mammography bus is coming on, I think it came already. Okay, let's get to, there's a lot going on. So we have Snake Education with the Twist. That's on the 30th. That's under the Education Cornerstone. The Home Improvement Expo will be here. The Dueling Pianos will be September 20th. The Spooky Soiree, which we're going to be approving something tonight on. And I ain't getting further than that because I had to leave. So that's the update with special events. They're doing amazing things for the community.
I like the snake thing.
Yeah. Did they leave some on the wall?
David, yes,
We can pull them out and present them.
You're going to do the foundation?
Yes. Kathleen could not make it tonight. August was, and this is her report, August was a busy month for back to school and celebration and beyond. Celebration Lifelong is open for fall registration. Stop in the office or online to join. They're offering for this fall 30 courses in person and 7 by Zoom. Celebration High School Marching Band has hit the field, and the Celebration Foundation hosted dinner on the last day of band camp for over 150 students. Foundation participated in the Welcome Back teacher and staff luncheon at the high school, and they provided salad, fruit, and coffee for teachers and staff at Celebration K-8 for their Welcome Back lunch, organized by the PTA. Learning Without Hunger delivered pallets of food to the following schools: Highlands Elementary, Central Elementary, Westside K-8, and Celebration High School. Music matters, and the concert season is ready to go. Concert series sponsorships and concert series tickets will be on sale September 1st online or in their office. And the foundation has a ribbon cutting ceremony at the Old Town Hall, Wednesday, October 4th. That's 690 Celebration Avenue. And that's going to be introducing or to become a friend of thriving. It'll be from 3 to 5. I'm sure there'll be more about that, but that's Wednesday, October 4th. And finally, she offers a thank you to Grand Manor staff and team for working with the foundation programs the past year with location challenges. Kathleen says, we appreciate all you do. So that's from Kathleen.
Carl?
We did not have quorum, unfortunately, at the last meeting at 3. So thank you to Victoria, Lindsay, and John and Nikki. So there's no voting, but some pretty good discussion. And thank you to Mike and Andrew as well from the Finance Committee. We had some discussion about looking at the rental fee structure, residents versus non-residents, so kind of some cursory discussions around those. Sounds like we haven't looked at those in 12 years. So hopefully we'll be able to get into a good place. And I think they're going to be looking at the non-resident fee structure pretty heavily. So more to come on that. With the partner programs, so they're also looking at redefining what a partner program is versus a civic program versus a governing organization. Again, a lot of stuff couldn't be done because we didn't have quorum. To that end, next month, I'm going to also recommend that we have a 7th member to the committee, because it couldn't happen with 6, but it can happen. So let's maximize our committees. So that's it for Parks and Rec.
Did you ever hear from, don't forget, I'll make it another discussion.
Okay.
Y'all start?
No, thank you.
Mr. Jim?
As my usual manner this year, I want the chair of the committee to speak for the committee's actions. John, could you come up and do that, please?
Thanks, John Greenberg, chairperson for the tech committee. Lauren, thank you for that update. Appreciate, Jose and I and my team working very hard on the technology committee, a lot of the projects we have. I just want to say a few minutes about the GoGov project that my team did review over this past month. We were very involved with numerous meetings with the developer of the application themselves. We had a bunch of recommendations that they took and they added to the application for us. They've been very accommodating from the development side. So my team did go ahead and approve from our tech committee to use the GoGov app, and I'll tell you why. We went and looked at this for 2 reasons. 1, simplicity for our residents. A tree falls in front of your house. There's a pipe and water coming out. There's roadkill, animal maybe, all these things. The lights behind your alley with all this theft going on right now, especially in North Village, the lights behind are out of your home. So we wanted a simple application. Easy to use for residents. You don't have to choose anything. You put your information in it. You take a picture in it. It puts your location in it. You click submit. So we love the application. Again, very easy to use for a resident. Just download it to go. The other part of that we looked at was very important. What happens behind the scenes, right? I just read today a post. I'm not on Facebook, but my wife read it to me about somebody 4 times submitted a service request and they still have heard nothing yet. So how frustrating it is for our residents when something happens, right? Water could be going onto your property and you want that request to go in. So the GoGov service, it's a service used by hundreds of communities across the United States, many here in Florida. It's handled by a professional service behind the scenes. It's not somebody sitting there at a desk going through emails, all right? So when that resident submits the request, the back-end system goes through it and decides which agency it goes to. Does it go to CROA? Does it go to CROA? Does it go to CCDD? Does it go to Animal Control? It does all the work. It's not a person looking at it. It gets handled. There's a dashboard, and then information gets sent out. So that's why we approved that application. Any questions? I know there's already some chatter on, I'm told on a back porch about it. Please reach out to our team. Our meetings are open. People come. You can email me at john.greenberg@townhall.celebration.fl.us. We're happy to help with that. Okay. So thank you.
Thank you. I guess we're going outside the committee's foundation already happened. So CCDD is the last one.
No, don't forget about the dog park.
Oh, dog park. You should do dog park first.
We did talk about finance, but I'll just mention that the dog park committee has good events coming up for behavioral direction. Someone's going to come and talk about how to handle your dog in the park when there's aggression with another dog and how to spot that before it happens so that things don't happen. There will be one on October 20th at 5:30 at the big dog park, and another one November 3rd at 5:30 at the small dog park. This will all be out in all of the e-blasts and all the websites and stuff, but it's a good event that they're putting together. So that was the big thing that happened in their meeting this month.
Thank you.
Sod go in today? Did the sod go in today?
Yes. What time was the sign going in?
Large.
In terms of the CCDD, I've been the CCD liaison for both years that I've been on the board. One of the reasons that I wanted to do that is because I think it's hugely important for the benefit of all residents and all homeowners that the CCDD and CROA work together and look at things together. An example of that is when we got together and we put additional police presence downtown, which was none of our property per se, it was Lexington. But I think that was better for the town. There are a number of things that are coming up right now. I've had some concerns about certain members' willingness to work with CCDD. I would like to ask Greg if he wants to talk about any challenges that he has had, so we can be aware of that, and so the residents can be aware of that.
Greg, are you there?
Yep, I'm here. I mean, Jim, I don't want to get into any specific challenges. I mean, we can go on any one particular topic if you want to talk about status of them. I know you've got an action item on GoGov later. I can certainly chime in on that specifically, and I know you've got a separate one on the workshop we had as it aligns or may align with your master planning. So I can chime in on any of those specifically as you'd like me to. Yeah, I mean, I think other than that, I don't have anything specific.
I'm wondering what challenges that you believe that we can help overcome so that we can work together better as boards.
We could turn this into a half-hour discussion if we wanted to. I don't know if that's the intent.
All right.
Yeah.
No. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate you allowing us, as we do with you, to participate in the meetings and speak during these sections. I mean, you know, I can highlight a few of the things that came up in our last meeting, and certainly just 2 days ago, and talk about those. I mean, obviously, we've talked about the community center workshop that we had about 2 weeks ago. We already had a follow-up meeting with the school district that was very positive. So I know you all are going to discuss whether or not you want to engage in that conversation. So we'll be standing by for that. We did have Little League, and a lot of the other partners were there, particularly since one option in particular would significantly affect Little League from what we discussed of the K8 lot out front right next to your building. So they also, I don't want to speak for them, but their comments in the meeting were very supportive. The only other thing I know we did talk about in our meeting last night was ARC applications, the process, if we can relook at that. I know there was commentary, I think 2 meetings ago in your meeting, about high lifts being used on Celebration Boulevard for repair of the buildings. And there was question as to, well, was the sidewalk really damaged by a high lift or not? You know, I had made the comment if we can have some conversations in the background about adding notifications to CDD when anybody's going to look to bring a high lift in, so we can, you know, jointly go out ahead of time and take some pictures, and everybody's got a common understanding of what the status is of grass areas or sidewalks or anything. So if there is damage later, that we know who did it. So that was really it.
Thank you, Greg.
Yep.
Anything else, Jim?
Nope.
Okay, I think we covered everything in that section. All right, now we're to the action items. Consent agenda items. So
I don't interrupt, but I
that's right.
missed one thing that I should have brought up when we were going over the agenda before. Action number A9 is the pavers and sod at Spring Lake Playground. I also meant to motion to table this because I don't think we should be spending money on the surface when we're not done with construction.
No, Spring Lake is different than
Spring Lake.
Oh, you're right. Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, good then. I'm glad I forgot.
Never mind.
Don't worry, everyone gets confused on this.
Any springs here?
Yeah.
Okay. Consent agenda. So we pulled number 1. We've added number 6 and 7 from the action required. Do I have a motion to?
I'll motion to approve the consent agenda.
Okay. Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay. All right, so now we move into action required. B1, motion to move forward with the vote for the utilization of GoGov application.
I'd like to motion that we move forward with the vote as recommended by the technology committee.
I'll
Move
second.
forward with GoGov. We have a second from Gary.
Got it. Discussion.
Maybe Jim as technology liaison committee kick it off. Would you like to kick it off?
The leadership style that I have is very delegative and very empowering. So I would actually, if Tom Hall can come up, he has actually looked at a lot of the choices that are out there and was an integral part of the decision-making process from a information gathering perspective. So I'd like to give him some time.
Okay, thank you. We looked at this app in a lot of detail, went to a lot of meetings, looked on the front of it, the back of it, submitted many reports, checked a lot of error legs. That is, the person tries to log in with two different names, right down to the spelling. And we did not find anything technically wrong with the app or any reason not to use it. So we liked it. Jose was a part of that. He attended all our meetings. And so we recommend it. Sorry, we recommend you adopt it.
Want some water?
Water's right now. I can come back after it. I just can't, I don't know how we're getting to where we are. Thank you.
I'm a good chairman.
Thank you. Exactly how we got to the point where it was in question. I'm mystified, really. Jose was with us the whole way. ONR would point to this app, or it would point to the website. It would be a seamless transition. This is not a replacement for ONR at all. It's used, ONR would still exist. ONR has above and beyond functionality that this app does not have. But when it came to problem reporting, there would just be a submit report on ONR. That submit button would point to a website. The users would have no idea that it's going there. They would fill out their request, and then it would go through this back-end process that we just described. This app has extensive tracking, reporting, a follow-up, and much of it is automated. On the other side, as a board, you may ask us to look at ONR for the same purpose. In the many meetings that we had on this topic, we decided that this is not a replacement for ONR, it's an adjunct to ONR. And therefore, there was no real need to look at the problem reporting capability of ONR, because it would be this. This would be it. So enough about the technology part. Of course, I'm a technical person. I'm not political, so I don't want to be you guys. I'm not running for any boards, but I am a resident. And I said that you may have heard me say this before, the whole discussion of finances, that why should CROA pay for this? CROA is irrelevant to us as residents. We pay for CCDD. We pay for CROA. It's one pocket or the other. We don't care if the money comes out of CROA's pocket or CCD because it's all coming from our pockets. So I would like to put the whole conversation about the cost of this app aside, since it's already been committed by CCDD to use. So it's going to be $17,000 a year. We're going to pay for that. If we decide that we're going to do something different, we're going to pay for it, and then we're going to do something different too, and we'll pay for that. So I don't know if I've covered all the points, but that's all I can say. I really hope you hired, I shouldn't say you hired, you appointed us as credentialed people with an academic and industry experience in our fields. We gave you a recommendation with a 5-to-1 vote, and we're asking that you trust us as scientists and engineers that we are, degreed engineers, to follow our recommendation. And just pick this app up and just use ONR to point to it.
Thank you. Jim, let's make one comment. Just think about this. So I asked this question. There's about 300 service requests every month, about 300. Right? So it's a lot. Previously with Seller Service and the previous management company, those were 300 emails a month sitting in somebody's inbox every month that would have to go through it to do a service, right? And I think everybody agrees that's unacceptable, right? We want that handled properly, expeditiously, to the right agency, not sitting on some management company's inbox when they walk in the morning to decide which is important, which is not. Okay, so thank you.
I don't want to know the answer to this question of who put this report together in our management report, because we're voting on this topic, which is somehow this became a heated topic. That I don't understand, but I understand management's recommendations to go with owner and not with GoGov. It is absolutely disgusting that this document for ONR is all the positives of ONR, and for GoGov, it's all the negatives. Everything under GoGov is cannot tie into this, can't do automation. Government documents are only accessible, no forums, no events. As a board member, I'm looking for management to give us the pros and cons of everything. And all I got was, here's why you should use owner and here's why you shouldn't use GoGov. It is unacceptable that this is what we were provided based on what we're trying to decide today. I still go with my second motion, and I think we should call for a vote on this, but this is not what management's responsibility is here to persuade us one way or the other. This is biased data that we're given as a board.
Well, it's a management tool. It's a tool that's going to be used by the management company. So
Sure.
why shouldn't they have a voice in, I mean, I think either way, the CCD is going to go with GoGov, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
It's already happened.
All right. And nothing will prevent a resident from using GoGov. Is that correct?
Yeah, but it's the user experience, and it's the optics that we continue to not want to work with CDD, I think, right? And also to Tom's point, it's all going to hit us one way or the other. I think when we start getting into this, go here for Seller Service, go here for GoGov, go here for ONR, we're going to start confusing residents. Plus, we have CROA. And we continue to just show the community that we don't want to work with the other organizations. I think that this makes a lot of sense, at least for the first couple of years. We have the credits through CDD. We can revisit it down the road if it doesn't make sense or if it doesn't meet our needs. But I think, and to Tom's point, and look, we've seen this with the rec committee. We've seen this with other committees. We continue to disregard the recommendations of our committees. So if you're hearing this and you're a committee member, I would resign right now, honestly. It's really not cool. Well, we heard this with a lot of people. We heard this, with other topics. You put in time, you put in effort, and to Tom's point, you guys are the experts. You really are. And it's fine if we're going to push back and maybe just ask some questions, right? Because at the end of the day, we're voting on this, right? We want to make sure that we're making good decisions. Sometimes we send it back, right? We want, special events, we may massage certain things, but to just outright send this back and decline it, I have a big problem with that. So
To my statement, it has nothing to do with CCDD. I'm here as a board member being told we need to vote yes or no on GoGov.
Well, no, I was just asking.
But it does have to do with CDD at the end of the day.
But even without that, the only data I'm given is ONR is good, GoGov is bad.
It is, but the connectivity, and it's master plan, it's everything. It's we continue to do this in our CROA lane. CDD continues to do this in their lane. It's one celebration at the end of the day. It's one master plan. It's irrelevant at the end of the day. CDD is fixing it or CROA is fixing it. We just want it fixed, right? We want it fixed. It's all going to hit us in the same way. So we need to be smart about this. We really do. And again, we need to lean on our partners, on our committees.
Let me just make one specific point. It's not that people can't handle 2 apps at one time.
No.
We know we have like dozens of apps on our phone. The question is, who makes that decision? Does every resident have to make a decision, whether it goes to CCD app or the CROA app? Or can we program that in the background, which you can in GoGov, so it happens automatically without the resident having to decide? And truly, even at that point, if it's configured correctly, without any of the staff from management to have to decide.
Well, I think Ken might be able to cut down some of the, so the red flag for management that needs to be raised is CROA will not sign on to this. So that moves this expenditure out of CJC and fully into the CROA expenditure line item. That's the red flag that needed to be raised here, and that was management. That should have been the piece that was in management's report.
Okay, but
How has CROA voted on this already?
They had a meeting. They've met and talked about this, and they don't see how this functions for them because they don't have, this is really resident focused. They don't have.
even if it's divided 3 ways, which there's already 2 other.
I'm not
parties involved.
confirming that, I'm not saying CROA won't definitively do this. I'm just saying that they will likely not sign into this.
Yeah.
They don't really want to be part of Cella service.
Right.
As it is,
I
because they
understand.
they don't see the benefit of it.
Yeah, so we're still paying that. The time that I've looked at cell service was, which has been over a 3-year period, it's gone up from $7,500 a year to $9,500 a year. It doesn't have, it's basically being deprecated. They might replace it with an acquisition of from another company, but it is a different system. And we can do the math. A third of 17,000 is not 9,500 or probably this next year $10,000. Plus, as was already mentioned, we're giving 2 to 3 to 4 years depending upon how that splits out, and we're working together with another agency on behalf of and in interest of our homeowners and residents.
I'm not trying to argue the partnership point or say that GoGov's not the great tool or a great thing for facilities reporting. We can integrate it in with owner, and then you have the best of both worlds in terms of both pieces. The only thing I'm saying is financially, this is coming fully into CROA if you choose to go that way.
So CROA, you're a CJC, right? So what,
Yes.
there was a meeting yesterday.
CJC is not CROA. The CROA did bite into our time, but beyond that, when we heard about it, because Paige was in both of them.
Right.
And Natalie and Lauren were in both of them.
There's a cap on CROA anyway, though, on their contributions, so they're not gonna have to pay this anyway.
Can I make some comments?
Bill had his hand up first. Go ahead, Bill.
I respect the technology committee, and I voted for every one of them because of their expertise, which is considerable, and I think we're lucky to have them. However, I also was part of the RFP committee that laid out the kind of things we wanted from a management company. And I have a management background, and I've done these kind of operational things where we've installed software. And while technically the GoGov may be very good technically, it's not going to necessarily meet the needs of the management company because they're the management experts. It's not a software issue. It's an operational issue from their point of view. Not to mention, more than that, they own the problem. If things don't get fixed, if things get lost, it's their problem to fix it. And the other ones get yelled at. So they should be software comfortable with what they're going to use and what they're going to need. We're not stopping.
Community. You're not servicing the community. That's what you were hired to do.
I'm sorry, sir. Steve, it's not, you're not talking. I'm talking. And you're an expert on what you do, and I'm an expert on real estate. So.
And I'm an expert on being a resident and call it, and when I have to call for the fire department, I don't have to dial up 6 different places. I dial 911.
Okay, can we let the board discuss, please?
So I think that I would definitely support management's recommendation to do it because they're the ones that have to do it.
I have a general question for you, Bill. When did we move from being a CROA board that's focused on residents to a focus to one that's focused on the ease for management to do it?
Because management has to solve the problem.
That's right.
But we can't give them tools that aren't in their best interest.
But you're defining that, Bill. You're defining.
Yes, I'm defining it on a 30-year level of experience.
We have a committee for that, Bill.
Property management.
We've appointed committee members who have that comparable experience.
Well, and we don't have to agree with them, do we?
You didn't agree with Lottie either. So this is a second.
I don't have to agree with anyone.
You don't.
I get a vote. You call it democracy or
So I'm going to change management's recommendation that's in this packet having raised the financial concern and saying this is more than likely going straight into CROA's operating account, and say, let's point ONR's maintenance piece into GoGov.
David set his hands up.
Yeah.
And you're comfortable with managing that?
Sue, did you want to say something?
Okay.
So you want to combine them?
I think at least for the 2 to 3 year time frame, we can give it a test. It's not going to cost you any money during that 2 year time frame. If we decide we need to turn on the facilities maintenance piece in ONR, and that because something's not working out in the GoGov world, we can still do that on the back end. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you for being flexible.
So,
Madam President, yeah, can I just chime in with a few thoughts whenever is appropriate?
can I ask you a question first, and then?
Sure.
Right, okay. So, just after listening to Lauren, so then we're gonna have probably close to 2 years credit if Canoa and whatever doesn't participate in this?
The initial calculation. Yeah, so the initial calculations I sent you on the credit, and so everybody's aware, just to catch up, you know, CDD and Enterprise had never paid into this. And I will say again, I appreciate the fact that CROA and Canoa and CJC always fronted the cost for what has been Cella service to date. What we had discussed in CDD several months ago was if you were, both of you were to come on, CROA and Canoa, that we would take the fair market value. Lauren sent us all the invoices for historical. And we recalculated and said, if we had been paying a fair share into that, what would that amount have been? And then apply that math going forward. If we were to do an even four-way split, if Canoa was on board, CROA was actually going to get a 5-year credit. You get a credit of about $20,000, and the four-way split, given that GoGov is about $16,800 a year, would have gotten you just under 5 years of a free credit that you're not going to pay a dime. We had not run the.
That's probably not going to be the case. So then what's the other scenario?
Yeah, understand. We had not ran the calculation, and I haven't brought it up to my board of, okay, what if we only have a 3-way split? I can certainly bring that back up. I think at the end of the day, even on a 3-way split, you know, you're still going to have, if you're still going to have several years of credit in there. I don't want to speculate on what my board's going to do, but at the end of the day, Tom Hall hit it squarely on the head. Guys, we're all getting funded from resident dollars. At the end of the day, if it's a few more dollars from CDD's pocket or a few more dollars from CROA's pocket, it is what it is. The residents are paying for this. So I think we're kind of talking in the noise here. If, you know, what I heard Lauren say 5 minutes ago, if the technology piece of this, put the cost aside, if the solution of GoGov works, then let's make this work. And we can figure out the numbers piece. I'll have to bring it back to my board as to how we reapportion the pie. But at minimum, you guys are still going to get at least several years of free credit out of this.
And then I'm assuming that would there be an additional contract where when the credit runs out, we have the option to switch?
Yeah, so what we already signed on Enterprise, and
Okay.
the way the agreement is structured, yours will have language in there, and I'll have to know what Canoa is doing. So yes, the language will be such that you'll get X number of years or months free, or X number of dollars free of credit, at which time then you'll pay into the fair share apportionment of it, and that would be defined in the contract.
There will be a contract for review between CDD and CROA, correct?
That's correct. CDD has already signed the contract with GoGov. We would have, just like we did for the Sheriff's Department a few months ago, where we did basically an interlocal agreement with you. There would be a contract between us and you defining the payment terms.
Yeah, but that was more of an email thing. I think we'll be looking for an exact contract with terms and.
No, what Jared, what we signed with you for the Sheriff's Department was a contract that my lawyer drafted up. It's all sorts of severability clauses and blah, blah, blah. It is a full-blown contract. We would be using a similar template for that, for the GoGov.
So the term of the contract would be equal to the term of the money running out, at which time we can say.
So I think we're getting into contract
Yeah.
Well, no, but I
negotiations.
just want to, no, because I
Can we
just want to.
table this until our next meeting?
No,
Well, this
And
is.
then we'll be able to approve the technology in a second.
no, I just want to make sure that we're not going to get roped into something we can't get out of, should we decide to get out of it after the free part runs out.
We should.
Cindy, we can put an out clause in there however you like to, that's certainly up for negotiation. If there's a consensus from your board that you only want to do it for the free credit time, at which point you get an out clause, I will get my attorney to work on some language with that and we'll figure it out.
Okay. That was my question. Now you had some comments to make, Greg?
David had some questions.
Oh.
David still raising his hand. David.
Okay, Greg, can I let the board finish and then come back to you?
Sure, that's fine. Thank you.
Okay. David?
Yeah, a couple of things. One is we've talked about simplicity for residents. And I think that makes sense, but the discussion has been totally around repairs. What I'm reading with ONR is simplicity for residents of all these sorts of things that are HOA related. That's our charge, HOA. So, there's like 15 things, and there's probably more folded into one application. And that makes sense to me. Second is a different twist on what Bill said. We hired the management company. Some words that were used a little bit ago: trust us to follow our recommendation. I trust management to follow your recommendation. And then the little sidebar is what we did learn in the CJC meeting yesterday is that CROA would be willing to put funding forward if it was ONR. So that's, we're not talking about large dollars, but they would be willing to contribute to ONR only.
So that was left out.
That it was left out, but that was part of the conversation yesterday from CJC perspective, and CJC is made up of CROA and CNOA. So again, simplicity for residents for all things HOA, and then following management's recommendation about, a quality user experience.
But our nice.
Yes, please.
Thanks. But our homeowners are also residents of CCDD. So they are residents. I mean, our homeowners that are part of this association are going to have to make that decision if we decide for some reason that we can't do the logical thing, the technology approved thing, and work with them for, as Charles says, one celebration.
And, the thing I'm reading in the management recommendation, I keep going back to collaboration between entities. So it's plural. So Lexan, I think, again, maybe there's one or two things that they could submit, but I think this is really an opportunity to bring the organizations together into one solution. And again, go back to them and at least have this conversation about it. I think there is some, again, I wasn't in the meetings. I don't know, was ONR sold differently than that's not. Well, and that's, I don't know, again, because we're, you both the liaisons, but I think to Jared's point, I think having a specific side by side with the understanding that seller service is going to be going away, right? Inevitably.
I'm going to let John speak to this, but this was not a bake-off. This was never set up as a bake-off of submitting service requests to either ONR to do that. It was always focusing on can GoGov do what Sella Service did, and that's what they were evaluating. The very last meeting, this came up, so I'll let.
I appreciate everybody's comment. Jose and I work very closely, and I appreciate his relationship. We went through ONR for access cards, for scheduling, for rec. He said the service request piece was in there. We didn't test any of it. We were not told how it works. We don't know if it's an extra grant managed person that has to get hired to sit here and answer those emails through ONR. We don't know. There's zero knowledge about that. We just know that there's a button. That's it. We weren't asked to test any part of the service part. We worked with GoGov, with that, with all what we need. Jose told them what they needed with GoGov. So he worked closely with the developers on that. So that is the correct information. management did work with GoGov what was needed for that application.
So how do they know? ONR is my question.
This was new to us. We just heard.
Yeah, that's my question. How do they know about ONR? How do they make
The service request we were untold.
And see, look, you can
All right, first of all, I don't find this insulting, Lauren, your proposal, okay? Nobody said that CDD can't go with GoGov, but this ONR is for the HOA, correct? This was your recommendation to use for the HOA.
It's a more HOA driven product than GoGov, yes, but GoGov is used by some larger HOAs. I think even some in Florida, if I remember correctly from the meetings. And especially ones that are more municipality based or esque, which Celebration is. I mean, so at this point, management's changed their recommendation. So I think it's time to just, I mean, we've said the same thing over and over again. So I think it's just time to call the vote.
So either way, it's gonna get ONR, either way.
You already
Because we're using, it's getting rid of retro.
Yeah.
And it's getting rid of, it'll get rid of Service, so we won't have to pay that anymore.
Service will be replaced by GoGov if this carries. You'll go with GoGov unless and until you decide it doesn't function for you. The other thing that ONR does is it provides a new version of the forums that were shut down on the website because that was the area that you were getting hacked through previously. It also provides document storage for your governing documents and your design guidelines and event calendar. I mean, it's HOA focused. So those resident engagement pieces that so we're fine dealing with GoGov. I've sat in on a lot of the meetings. Jose sat in on a lot of the meetings and provided a good chunk of the information and the connection with the county GIS for it. So it's not an issue for the staff to use it. It's very similar to Service on the back end.
So why did you change your recommendation?
My biggest issue with this was just to raise the flag of the money switching from CJC to CROA because CNOA, yes, they're more interested in owner and they have almost no interest in GoGov because it's purely resident focused. They just don't see a benefit to themselves. So this would come out of CJC and fully into CROA. I understand that this is all resident funding either way, but that's something that needs to be made acutely aware because right now you're paying for Service out of CJC and not out of CROA.
So for the first 2 years, though, obviously, this is not going to get us
credit.
What percentage of the $9,500 of Service is CROA paying per year?
You pay, well, right now you're at a 76 to 20, or split.
So that would obviously be more than zero, which is what GoGov is going to be. And even after that, it'll be less than a three-way division of GoGov.
So I'm not arguing that. I'm just saying it's coming straight into CROA.
Yeah,
this is also, I think this is to me, and we'll probably go, but this is a justifiable expense, in my opinion, for the community. We're talking about this, we're talking about the value to the community. Obviously we've spent money on, designs for different things that have gone nowhere. This is something that I think we're going to get actual value out of, and we're going to be able to defend this down the road. It's going to, and I think it's something we do need to watch, obviously, because we're not paying for this for the first year.
Cindy, can I make, sorry, just one more comment that may help kind of pacify some of the concerns here. So when I briefed CNOA on this 2 months ago, the clear direction from their chair was they were going to defer to the recommendation of management, being the Grand Manners team, on which way they wanted to go. So, and Lauren, I appreciate you calling an audible here and explaining to the board kind of the dynamics here and changing your recommendation. So I'd suggest that if CNOA was briefed the management recommendation as it was written in the CROA packet, I can understand why CNOA last night voted to go not with GoGov. If they were brought in to the changed management recommendation, based on what I heard from CNOA, they may change their thought pattern. It was my 2 cents there.
Thanks, Greg.
Okay.
Call the question.
Maybe just one.
We need to
I mean, Celia.
We need to solve
Sorry.
something.
let's call a vote, and if she's a deciding factor, then we'll wait.
Okay.
All right.
So Charles made a motion, seconded by Jared, to go with the utilization of the GoGov application, the CDD, understanding that we're going to get a credit for the first couple of years, understanding that we will still be using ONAR for to replace RecPro and cell service.
Can I also amend my motion to also say, and consistent with the management recommendation, technology and management company recommendation?
Sure.
Will you second?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Who was that, Jared again?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
All right, so
It's not replacing cell service, but I will say ONR, besides what we've talked about already tonight, has a lot of different things that can be helpful in terms of digital processing and payments and things like that. So there's a lot of good functionality. I know we need to vote.
I was looking strictly at cost when I said that. Because those two things, RecPro and cell service, are $9,000.
Replace the costs.
Yeah,
Correct.
replace the cost. That's what I was talking about. This cost. Okay. All in favor?
I'd like to have a roll call vote, please.
Okay. Start with
Yes.
Jared. All right.
Yes.
Jared's a yes. Jim?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
David?
No.
Celia?
I'm abstaining.
Bill?
No.
And I'm going to say yes, because this is not a choice between the two. We're getting both. This and GoGov for free for however long it is. So that's 4 yeses,
Motion carries.
2 noes, and an abstain from Celia. Motion carries. Okay. Moving on.
I am asking to add 2 additional dog park committee members. They are the same ones that I've asked the last 3 meetings. There are no staff members that have issues with the names I've put forward. There are no residents that have issues with the names that I've put forward. So I just would like to make the motion to do this because I don't see any reason these people should not be on the committee unless if someone on the board votes against these people, they will be the only ones in Celebration that are against them.
I'll second the motion.
Well, you need to say the names for the.
Yeah, I was just going to say, refresh our
Matthew
memories.
Blake
Paul and
and-
who?
Matthew Blake,
And who?
Matthew Blake.
Paul Bailey.
So that's Jared and Celia.
I'll also say, I am not recommending these people. The dog park committee has asked for the board to vote for these people on the committee.
Okay. So we have a motion by Jared, second by Celia to appoint Paul and Matthew to the dog park committee. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Motion to extend the dog park hours is recommended by the dog park committee.
So moved.
Second.
That's David.
Who seconded that?
Chair.
It's been talked about for 7 or 8 years.
Now they have.
Finally, there's lights. That was the reason for the hours,
Um,
the old
Any other-
hours, or
any
the
other-
current hours.
any other discussion on that one? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Motion to approve the remaining balance due for fall events Spooky Soiree by Captain Carnival in the amount of $3,340 coming out of CROA operating funds.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
That was Jared. Any discussion?
Looks good.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, motion carries. All right, number 5.
I would like to motion to table this.
I'll second that.
Okay, because I think that's a good choice.
Yes. We can get some consensus on this.
Okay, so I'm sorry, that was you, Charles, and seconded by, oh, okay. To table number 5, that has to do with the new pool company. Any discussion on it, or just table?
30 seconds in the interest of time, so I don't think we have a complete RFP or incomplete bids, and just kind of. Did you sign? Not this at the last minute, it seems like I don't think we really had time to process this, and I think there may be some follow-up questions we need clarification on. Does this impact our overall pool contract if we
It
don't?
would, yeah, it's significantly higher, but again, it's whichever company you end up going with. The one that was recommended here, when we were doing further due diligence and getting the final bids in, we found out that they don't have the pool contractor's license, so we're not recommending that one anymore. The other pieces, your current company is more of a mom and pop company, and just cannot handle the commercial nature of the pools and the fountains.
We're still okay to table this for a short
I
period.
currently have a different company in here handling the pools because I just can't deal with them anymore.
Yeah, and for those who aren't following the packet, we have X year service agreement with X of the pool service vendor in the amount of X. So there's not there's nothing really to vote on. I think at the next meeting, we need to get the RFP, see what the RFP looked like. There's an evaluation map of how they were evaluated. I think it would be helpful to see that and get that published with the packet.
All right.
No further discussion.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay. 6 and 7 have been removed to the consent agenda, so we are now on what's originally number 8 on the agenda. Motion to invest additional funds of $1 million in the capital improvement fund and 12-month treasuries with Truist Bank.
I'll motion.
Second.
Were you able to get that information from me, Jeff?
I don't have the not coming through.
Grand Manor, to your Grand Manors, yeah.
Oh, please.
But seeing it would be better than me trying to say it out loud.
Unless you don't have glass.
I email it to Jose and he can display it.
Yep.
What we're doing is I asked Jen if she would give us a current status of the terms of the investments that we have in all the accounts, just to kind of see how it shakes out maturity wise. Not that will make a difference on our vote, I just want to see.
I can just say overarchingly, you're currently invested in 3, 6, 9, and 12.
Well, that I know,
month
but I want to
terms,
know, how much of the operating fund is in 3 months, how much is in 6 months, how much is in 12 months, and with the others as well.
Lauren, the previous motions that we passed around allowing the finance committee to give them some latitude to make investments, does it cover this? Or
No, this is an additional $1 million that
okay,
you're adding.
thank you.
That's why I want to see. We've had some changes. That's why I want to see now what it's going to shake down to be.
Yeah, it is fairly involved now. There are a number.
I will say there is minimal risk in terms of penalties for pulling out early. That's why they're taking this risk to add an additional $1 million. They feel comfortable with the fund balances to add this.
This is okay procedurally from a capital, but we've got that's for capital.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
Basically,
invest any
Investment policy.
And if we take anything out, we lose just what we gained. We don't lose our money.
Right.
So,
It's usually, I remember correctly, the longer the term, the more it gets zapped. So if you cash in a 12-month CD, they may charge you 6 months worth of interest if you don't hold it to term.
But you can.
Hang on, I'm waiting for some information. Got it? Come in.
Do we want to come back to this?
Gonna come back? Are you there? Oh, he's there. Oh, I still can't see it, so I'm gonna have to read it.
So but basically what I did was just 3 squares there. The top one is the operating, the 2 banks that they're in, what they're currently earning, and the balance as of right now, and the replacement and the capital. So your investments there on the left, and how I broke it down was when they mature and how much is currently in there.
And then what we're.
Do you have the rate for the Truist?
I have the rates for the Truist there. Oh, you mean as far as the investment piece?
Yeah.
No, I wasn't able to pull that up.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And
Do
doesn't
you
hurt
remember what
zero.
that was? You asked about that recently. Do you remember what that was?
Which rate, Jared?
The truest?
The truest, I think we're still working through that one. I think most of our money that's not in the T-bills is earning about 0.7% interest. So anything that we could put in the T-bills that we don't need today, we get more than 5% interest on. So that was sort of the basis for the recommendation. It's absolutely in our interest to be in that.
Thanks, Andrew.
Does this include what we're approving today or no?
No, what they're wanting you to do is basically the capital on the right where it says the
Well,
first
I can't see it,
citizens.
that's why I'm asking.
Okay, the first citizens has 1.7.
Yep.
They're asking to take $1 million from there
Mhm.
and put it over in the truist. So that would leave you with 757,000 as of today, but each month you're transferring another 80, 90,000 over.
Okay, all right. Could you email me a copy of that? Yes, I have. Thank you. Okay, any other questions?
So are we gonna table this?
No. There's motion.
Okay.
Oh, wait a minute, we didn't have a motion yet.
Yes. I motion just that.
Jared and Jim.
Okay. I have no other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay. Carries. Motion to appoint a school board liaison. Discussion, nominees, what say ye?
I'd like to,
Go ahead. Are you gonna say?
I would like to appoint Charles.
I'll second.
Don't look at-
Do I need to accept or it's just?
Yeah.
Get down, Charles. It's too late.
You look down?
So I have also, my kids don't attend the school board, so they're in the conflict of that. And if they're out from business goes on.
All right, so we have a motion from Celia and a second from Jared to appoint Charles as the school board liaison. Are there any other ideas? Nope. Okay. All in favor? Anybody opposed? Okay, congratulations, Charlie. All righty. Okay. It's motion to appoint a board liaison for Mattamy.
Well, I was gonna appoint Jared, but he's being appointed to the playground liaison. I don't know how much he can handle.
Oh, I think he needs to be with Mattamy.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if you make that motion, I will make the motion that Jared also be appointed as the liaison with Mattamy.
But I do think it should be either Jared or Charles, since they have the most run rate of any of us here in terms of keeping that relationship going. And I think how many you have? 1, 2.
I have the most bandwidth, honestly. I've just got the rec committee and, it probably.
Sure. What?
Either way, I don't mind.
Rock, paper, scissors. I would gladly accept the appointment.
Then I motion to appoint Charles as the Mattamy liaison.
No, I'd rather have Jared.
Sorry.
Back to back.
Can we make it so that if there's something that there's a backup to this with Mattamy, that you're traveling and something comes up that Jared.
You're both travelers.
Yes, virtual. So,
They communicate well when traveling.
yes.
We can both be liaison. There's circumstances of that.
Yeah.
I'm good with co-liaison.
That will get a consensus. Let's do a joint liaison.
I'm fine with that.
Perfect. As we start developing into 2A and 2B and 3, I think it'll be more important.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so
With the
Jim, you made the original motion.
Yeah, I'm gonna change the motion to a joint, a
Charles.
co-liaison between Charles and, Jared.
And I'll second it. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Cindy seconded it.
I did.
Jim made the motion.
He did. All righty. Congratulations again, Charles, and to you too, Jared. All right, now,
Make us proud.
now at management's request, we are looking for a playground liaison to work with the, project manager. Any ideas?
Motion to appoint Garrett Wise as playground liaison.
I would second that motion.
Charles. And Jan. Any other ideas?
So just as we have, because this is obviously a pretty hot topic, all communications, everything funnels through Jared. Jared is our single point of contact, liaising, right? Just so it's one voice. That's Jared's voice.
That's the shortest liaison appointment ever.
But I think just for.
Are you complaining?
Just so we're all on the same page, I think if we can all agree to have it funneled through him. Let him.
Primary point of contact.
Single point of contact, right? Whatever you call it.
One throat to
One throat to choke. Yes, thank you.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay. All right. Congratulations again, Jared.
Yeah.
Fee waivers.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion?
All looks reasonable.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay. Motion carries. Non-compliance list. We have a new one here. Do I have a motion to approve as presented?
I'll motion.
One second. Jared, Celia? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, motion carries. Okay, so much for the action items.
Well,
Talk about your, okay. That's
13. Oh, I forgot. Okay. Flipping pages. Okay, last one. Discussion of the discussion action item, master plan advisory group.
which Jared was gonna make as a motion. Is that what we decided earlier?
Well, what do you?
Now it's an action.
Motion to discuss?
Well, the motion would be for, and then for discussion would be to direct management to start the formation of a master plan advisory group for CROA based on the documents that were created as a director from the July workshop.
Except they haven't been created yet, but okay.
They have, though. Charles created the document and sent it to all of us, and I created the document and sent it to all of us.
Did you send it? Did you send it?
Yeah. They're not in the packet, but they're, you know, which is my question. Do we need to have them in the packet?
I remember getting it. I remember sending you some thoughts. I don't remember getting it back again.
We had some edits. Anyway, there's a motion.
Anyway, okay, so.
Do you, would you feel more comfortable, Cindy, if we said specific details to be determined later, but to start the process to have people, okay.
Yeah.
Let's do.
Well, yeah,
Well-
okay, so then
Yeah. But I would like to discuss everything that's supposed to be part of this discussion item.
let's do that.
Okay. Do what? Discuss. Okay. So Jared's taking a motion to discuss. Jimmy, you want to second that?
Someone second.
To discuss?
I'll second it.
Charles will, okay. Okay. Okay.
I thought once we made the motion, we can discuss it and.
We need two.
It's discuss to discuss.
We need two motions.
So in this little outline here, that's part of our agenda, in conjunction with the master plan advisory group.
Where did this come from? Just out of curiosity.
She sent this out to everyone.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I talked to Charles about it. I talked to Lauren about it, just to kind of get, this is just putting some things out there for consideration. So I believe we do want to have a workshop with CDD. Is that correct? I don't know if everybody else, I had a chance to view the meeting. I wasn't in attendance, their workshop that had to do with the recreation / community center part of it, part of the master plan. Do we want to schedule a workshop with them?
Do we need to frame this up a little bit higher though, before we start getting into like the partners? I see Lauren nodding. I think we need to.
We're looking at the attachment here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know who wants to kick it off. I mean, I know we have kind of different thoughts on the master plan advisory group. I'm just thinking we're we're getting into the partnerships, we gotta go way, way, way high up and talk about what a master plan is and start skating down.
I think, one of the things we need to discuss is, will the 851 building and what happens to it be part of the, charter for the master plan advisory group? Or, I know that some directors prefer that it not be part of it. So I think we should discuss that in front of the residents and potentially give them some input on this.
Okay, so you want to wait to talk, I was hoping to just do the CCD workshop so we can get that out of the way, because I know Greg and his folks are anxious to do something, but we'll move it to the bottom.
No, that's fine. I think we want to discuss with CCD.
Right, okay, so we can go ahead and tell Lauren to work with them to schedule a workshop. So we can
I don't think do we need a motion. If we need a motion, we'll do that. Yeah.
It's a special meeting though, so I thought it was just the president directed.
The president can just accept.
So everybody's okay with that?
Yes.
First opportunity, oh, okay. Moving on. All right, so this was kind of my idea about the two phases. Because I think we can all agree that the 851 building, whatever you do with it, is the priority. And then beyond.
Can we ask that question? Do we agree?
Well, I was going to explain what my rationale was. Never mind. And then long-term community planning, because in my mind, it's for discussion, there's a big difference between an amenity center and a recreation center. What I heard at the CCD meeting was kind of like an all-encompassing kind of a building, maybe. They didn't make a decision, but there were a lot of things thrown around. I think we should focus on the 851 building first and make this the amenity center. And this would be the building that would hold, what are you doing? Why are you in a Why?
Okay.
Can I explain?
You can. But I think we're getting bogged down though with like the path versus the actual, the strategy, the overarching master plan, and then continue. I just want to be totally mindful.
Thank you for interrupting me. I'm just kidding. It's okay. But I think we can all agree that the 851 building is a priority. This would be a perfect place for amenity centers. It has meeting rooms, a senior center, like for them just to hang out after school instead of Starbucks, maybe with, I don't know, foosball, that kind of stuff. The seniors wanted a place to like I said, meeting rooms, classrooms, any staff, whatever. This would be the perfect location for that. And we should talk about that. Recreation center, I think, is more geared to indoor sports, like they were talking about at CCDD, indoor basketball courts. I don't know if racquetball is still popular, but those kinds of things, which would probably be best suited at the Civic Quarter or someplace on the Boulevard. I think that the master planning group should be in two phases. One would focus on the amenity center and get the input from the community on what you want here in the middle of town handy for your organizations, and then move on to a group that's more to Jared's vision of SMEs, special subject matter experts. Yeah. Subject matter experts that then works on the entire master plan in conjunction with the CDD and the other properties we have in town. That was kind of my thought.
I like that thought a lot. What I would do, I would say the only part of it that I would consider peeling off from the master planning advisory group's charter is repair or replace, just a strict repair or replace decision.
Well, shouldn't that be part of?
Well, it should be, but
yeah,
I'm just trying to.
We have to be careful to not make decisions. And philosophically, is this going to be something? And we do need to talk about this because we do have different philosophies. Is this going to be a board directive, or is this going to be a community engagement directive? So there are some things we need to solve before we start getting into, do we fix or repair 851? Because a lot of this is going to be, we're engaging, we're in our partnerships. Like we have to really, really, really come up. Yeah, this is not a tactical conversation yet at this point. This is a really 38,000 foot discussion. And I don't want us to start going down paths of like fix 851 or don't.
but we have to engage the community first, decide what we're gonna do. We're not gonna spend a lot of money to, or even I wouldn't spend any money on this building until we decide what it's gonna be.
And that's what my call for this vote is to, it's going to take us 30 days to develop this group.
Mhm.
Let's not waste the next 30 days. And then in September, we're at our board meeting and we're having the same conversation. Let's use the next 30 days to get this group formed as we're working with CDD to have that conversation. And we can change the directive of this group until it's formed, but we can start searching for candidates for this group now.
Process of forming it.
My only problem is rework, management rework, and not having everyone at the table, because I think we need to get in the same room with CDD. We probably need to get in the same room, honestly, with Matt and me and our other partners. And that's really where I think we need to start. A couple of meetings ago, we tried to do the key partner exercise. I think it's really important for us to all get in the room, define collectively, and feel free to chip into that. You have thoughts about like the community needs assessment. So I think that helps to inform the master plan. So it worries me. I understand the concept of having action on this, but the fact that we're talking about this now is action. The fact that we're going to have a meeting with CDD is action. I think we have to be careful again not to fall back into the go fast and fix stuff. We haven't had a master plan. We've never had it. So we have to be careful to do this the right way.
But we're not going fast at all on this. We've been talking about this for 2 months.
2 months, 2 months. But we have to do it right, and we have to make sure that we engage our parties and do this collectively.
Can you be clear on your position? Because I want to know if I align with it.
Yeah.
Are you saying that no decision should be made about 851 until we form a master planning advisory group, and it should be part of their charter?
So
is that what you're asking?
My recommendation at this point is we sit down with CDD. We figure out, because they've had their discussions, right? They've started talking about master plan. We need to just understand what they're doing, where their goals are, what their time horizon is.
3 years, he said. Greg said 3 years it'll take from start to finish. So
we need to sit down.
Yeah, I'm just saying, but
I definitely agree with that.
This is a long-term thing too.
But are you, the master planning advisory group?
Conceptually, I agree.
It's going to be a CROA advisory group, not a CCD.
Correct.
CROA.
I think CROA, correct. So CROA, because I don't think CDD can necessarily, right?
No.
They can't do the same level of
No.
engagement that we can. So we have to lean on our strengths. So our bread and butter is going out to the community, leveraging the low study, which we did, right? Refreshing that, and then working with CDD.
Yeah.
And that's where I think we need to start before we start putting resolutions and start soliciting feedback and applications. I think we have to be very careful to not start going down that.
Okay.
But that's just my.
If we can agree, at least a straw vote or something, that, and I think we kind of already did, that we're going to meet with CCDD in the next 2 to 3 weeks on this. We'll have that information. As Jared said, as we're gathering people and applications and getting the word out, then we'll have a chance to form the committee with specific charters at the next board meeting. And I think that's what Jared.
Yes, because I don't think this is a linear path. We don't have to meet with CDD and then we have to start multiple things have to happen at the same time with any scope this large. And I think this is a way to start moving forward on our commitment to the community in July 15th to now at the end of August, start taking this next steps on that. Because you and I, Charles, both wrote our documents in the 2 weeks that we were supposed to, and we turned those in, and then we didn't discuss it at the July board meeting. So I'm just trying to move along what we've committed to while also aligning with the other things that are happening.
We have to move along the right way. Again, that's where I really just, the go fast and fix stuff, I know we just ad nauseum said that. I just don't want us to fall back into that mentality because it's caused irreparable damage. The more we do that.
We do not agree on that completely.
Okay.
And that's for another day.
Okay.
Because we're at 8 already. But I agree we need to approach it in a reasoned way. I think we have. We talked about it in a 3-hour meeting in July, at the beginning of July, if I remember right. And you guys, you both did a large amount of work, and I didn't see any negative feedback in the emails from it. I want to build on that. I want to start that process. We will not complete it before our next board meeting.
And even if we do build this committee, I don't think we need to action. We can't give them a direction until we have a direction. So we may have a committee that we can't act.
So can we come to somewhere?
I think I have a suggestion that might create some consensus here, how about we do this? We put out a call for applicants interested in serving on an advisory group. As part of your CDD meeting, as we've kind of all mentioned, you guys need to figure out where your visions align, who should be responsible for what fits in your lane, what fits in their lane, what fits in your financial scope, what fits in their financial scope. So
Then you
that will inform your resolution then, because that needs to be a little bit more refined based on what discussions happen at the CDD. And then you can finalize your resolution at your next board meeting. Hopefully we'll have the joint CDD meeting prior to that and have some resolution there. And we will already have the group of applicants ready to go, and you can possibly appoint people at that meeting as well.
Can we agree?
I move what she said.
Can we agree that if we do this in the phases like suggested here, that these two advisory groups are different kinds of people? So maybe when the application goes out, it's, are you interested in being on the advisory group for a community center? Are you, or are you?
We're talking about what
master
we're
plan.
talking about.
If we want to do subcommittees, I'm open to that if people want to do
No.
it, but. No.
One committee.
And again, I think the 851, it's important to have that within the same committee because whatever that may be, we're not going to define.
Sure, because they're gonna be looking at budgets and everything and how that all is funded and.
It's all interconnected.
They're gonna be.
This is the
Overarchingly,
major linchpin of the whole master plan.
so overarchingly, if something urgent happened that needs to take place with this building, nothing about this advisory group prevents you from taking action on this building.
Because we ultimately make the decision at the end.
Yes, you as the
This
board
building
are
and what's
responsible
happening.
for the decision.
If there's an emergency and the building collapses or something.
No, you're spot on. But, all right, I know we've dominated a lot of this. What's the conversation?
I think
I think it's great.
I like Lauren's suggestion.
Let's start the legwork and get it rolling.
Yeah.
David, comment.
Because even if we, as I mean, what I was saying before, even if we come up with the candidates and we have that, but we don't have the action plan, we're not gonna say start on this. We have to have both together.
I'm hung up on.
But I think we can do both of them at the same time so that we're not waiting for the next thing after the first.
I'm okay. My concern is just the rework and the resolution is not. It's a little bit.
Yeah, no, that needs to be redone.
David's had to stand up for a while. Okay,
Go ahead, David.
If you're thinking of an advisory group, one major community partner and two other community partners are missing. The Celebration Foundation is missing from the written documents, and they have been and were from the beginning an essential partner, one of three. But there's two others. We talk about the school board or the schools, board schools and whatever, and then there's also the county. For years, we've had a good years ago, there was a good relationship with the county. There was some discussion about some funding. And I think if we don't include them, then we're missing that opportunity. So if we're talking about partners, all need to be included.
Well, and that's what,
So that's
that's
on
on
the
the
list.
That's on
These
here.
are all in this list.
Yeah, foundation school.
No, but if we're talking about what you're talking about setting up, not just CDD.
No, I was just saying CDD and CROA because you need to have your joint workshop. And since you are the two entities that are basically going to be the major ones putting out funding for build or whatever, the foundation may contribute, the county may contribute as well. But I think their engagement should come heavily in on the master planning advisory group as part of where they see their visions align. But I think, yes, at some point, you all need to get in a room, CDD, CROA, CNOA, CJC.
We have the land, we have the CROA.
So the meeting with CCD is the first with the shareholder. It's not the last, and it's not the only.
Cindy, can I, sorry to interrupt, if I can get a minute here, just to David's point, and just expectation setting from what our board had discussed at our workshop. So I've already had a meeting with the school board. The prioritization based on the lots we looked at, the top of the list was the field across the street from y'all with the baseball fields. So the guidance from my board was to go ahead and engage the school district, which I did last Friday. They're very interested in it. Right now, the tasker is with their legal and facility staff to see if there are any inhibitors legally, traffic, whatever else. They told me that would take somewhere between 2 to 4 weeks, that they would be able to come back and give us that they were they've already expressed interest, but just that they think they'd be able to move ahead. And at that point, their intent would be to work with our lawyer on a letter of intent to engage in a discussion of the sale of the land. So that was the top of the priority list. So David, to your point, if that happens, the school board is already engaged in the discussion, and my intent is they will be in the first meeting where we're talking about a joint meeting with you. If that parcel is available and they're willing to sell it, I want to have them in the room. That way you guys are hearing it firsthand from them, what the conditions are and timelines and all that other sort of good stuff. Separately with the foundation, when we engaged this conversation prior to our workshop, I reached out to probably about a dozen different partners in town that would participate in a community center, what I thought that vision may look like, and it may not turn out to be that, but one of them already was the foundation. So I already had a lengthy conversation with Kathleen Scipio, and she understands she is more than welcome, and we'll bring her into the workshop as well, or any of the workshops as a key partner.
Okay, so first thing is the workshop, the CCDD, and Greg, you're going to invite the school district as well, you say?
Correct.
Well, wait a minute, you're saying yes and you're saying no.
If they come back in 2 to 4 weeks and say that they have cleared the hurdles to formally move into negotiations about selling the land across the street from you, then yes, my intention is to bring them into the workshop with you at the first workshop.
So
And that makes
that's cart before the horse though, because we need our master plan advisory group to be involved in it.
But it's helpful.
Not a good, it's a good conversation, sure.
But it's good to know that becomes another potential resource for us for the advisory group to consider, obviously, as part of the pool of resources.
Yeah. Celia has.
I have a question for Celia.
Wait, was she lost now? Yeah, that's what I was going, because then he had a question for you.
Just a quick question. We asked them if we could buy that field.
Yeah, they said no.
They said no.
Does it include the
They
driveway?
said no to everything we asked.
Oh, right. Good point. Okay, go ahead.
So can I talk
Yeah,
now?
of course you can.
Okay, so why do we have Lot D, which would house a great rec center. Everybody talked about that, and we have this building. Why are we looking to put another building right next to this building?
Well, we're not looking at anything yet. That's the CCD talking.
is, so.
That's why we need to have this.
Right,
kind of
maybe we
sit
should
down
like
workshop.
sell them Lot D and let them put a rec center down there.
With Celia, so it creates, if that land becomes available, now we have Lot D, Lot F, baseball field, whatever 851 is. You know, it's more resources, again, that we can then go back and look at the low study, go back and look at the mountain study, bring in, refresh it, whatnot, and then actually figure out like where this goes, how we fund it.
So I live right on Celebration Avenue here. So do I have to recuse myself for this? Because I don't want to be looking at a 3-story building sitting on those baseball fields when we have this building right here.
I can't answer that. That's.
So, okay.
I think Jared needs to amend his motion to Lauren's recommendation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll amend my motion to
What she said.
CDD meeting
Workshop, yep.
concurrent with applicant searches.
And
Developing.
refining the resolution.
Yeah.
And refine the resolution.
And I'll amend my second too.
So
we
we're
have a
doing CDD, the applicants, and refining the resolution, correct?
As we,
Yes.
as we all need to.
And in the meantime, we're putting out, the call for.
Right, call for nominations. Yep. Yep. So we're working on 1, 3, and 4. From this little sheet that's in here. Right?
Yep.
Okay. We got a motion from Jared, second from Charles. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, since we're talking about the 851 building, we talk about frogs and snakes and hornets.
Things.
I know but we really need to talk about this.
Yes.
Well, Lauren, do you have anything to say that we should be acting on? Do you have a direct?
I don't have any figures from Lexon. I will just, do you want me to just briefly say for the community's perspective of what we've looked at? Okay, so we've looked at vacant office space on the boulevard. We've engaged with Disney on their properties. CDD graciously let us look at their available space that they might be willing to let us use. Lexon also had 2 vacancies that they let us go view in the downtown area. The bulk of the pieces on the boulevard are too large for us and cost prohibitive. There is one area on the boulevard that's size appropriate for us, but it is $100,000 to $120,000 a year in rent, which is also an astronomical price. The CDD space would only house about 6 to 8 people. There are no windows in that space, and it also shares the HVAC and the tech closet. It would work for us, but it's just not a great place to work.
You might as well stay here.
And it's gonna take months to get it ready.
Yeah,
Even if
there's some time frame issues, and I understand that possibly the sheriff's office is also looking at it as well. Greg, you can correct me if I'm incorrect in that.
No, that's correct. And yeah, Lauren, I understood that you guys weren't going to move into the condition it is. We certainly need to redraw some walls and stuff like that, so you're not sitting next to a water pump.
The other 2 spaces that we went to look at were above Wolfgang and Ari. They're the former LRK space and the former Renaissance LLC space. Lexon has said they were more than willing to talk reduced rental rates and make something work that's financially feasible for us and still keeps us in the downtown area for residents. The LRK space is gorgeous, but too much space. The Renaissance LLC space is a good size for us and certainly usable. Smart City is already there, so we would have access to all of our information right from the get-go. Our smaller multifunction device would work there with the electrical that exists, and they already have built-in desks, so there's very minimal that we would have to do to the space to make it ready to go. All that's left is for me to get some details from Janice on cost, terms.
So how fast can you get out of this building that you're working in?
So depending on, I mean, if the numbers come back from Janice that are in a positive light, then we can move pretty quickly. The other option for us is to do what we did in December/January and spread ourselves out amongst the amenity centers, but then that negatively impacts your partner programs. And it's less of a service to the residents.
So are you allowed to say where that rental space is?
It's above Ari.
It's above Ari.
But we can't vote on any action now because we don't have numbers.
No, that's good, yeah.
But we need to do this sooner than later because they can't be working in that environment that they're working in. It's not fair to them.
David has his hand up.
So 2 things. One is, once you get a price, can you circulate that electronically?
As soon as I get something from Janice, I will get it to you.
And I know it would take a unanimous, 7 out of 7 have to vote in favor of that. Second is, should you move, you're here 40 hours a week, or staff is here, 40, 60, whatever. Yeah, sorry. That does not close the building, that just moves the staff. Is that correct? So programs that occur in this building could still occur?
I think that's a board decision.
Well, and the largest one is the dance people there. They rented other space.
They moved.
So we could probably find homes for the chorus and some of the smaller things at some of the other facilities, and maybe Artisan would let us.
And we could fit, our X Factor rented the space at Stetson. Irish Dance is one of the ones that we can fit in some of the smaller amenities.
The reason to raise up the difference is you're here constantly, and then when people come for meetings or programs, they're here for an hour or 2 or maybe 3. So they're in and out. So I think it's a different issue.
But you do think to the point, I think the programs that create revenue, obviously we need to look at, right? We need to make sure that we find homes for them, right?
We can accommodate
those contracts. And then, so part of the reason why we had this on the agenda, why we wanted to add it, is I do think there has to be an exit strategy. You guys have to start thinking about 30, 60, 90 plans at this point. And concurrently, look at the,
What's a 30, 60, 90 plan?
30 days, 60 days, 90 days.
I think this is gonna be a lot longer term than that.
No,
to get out. Okay. I thought you meant just find a rental space for 30, 60, or 90 days.
Discussed this at our last meeting about you not working in a healthy environment, and then we found the snakes and all the other
The
stuff.
snakes in the insulation is pushed me over the edge.
Speaking to David in the process he's suggesting, can we take a straw vote tonight to see if we would have a unanimous decision on your recommendation?
I would.
If we got a number from Lexington
Yeah.
that was reasonable.
I think that would.
Because your whole staff will fit there.
Yes.
The reception will be there, everything will be there. You'll be,
for the logo, shop, everything.
and it's right in town.
I don't mean to wrap this up, but I mean, I feel like we can't do anything further on this until we get those numbers and we all agree we're gonna act on it quickly.
Yeah.
Yep, definitely.
We are unanimous on that?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yep. Okay. All right, shall we stop there?
Yes.
Do you want to talk about the incorporation?
No.
No,
we'll stop.
no.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn from
Second.
Jared. Is there a second from?
In favor? Aye.
Wait, who was the second? David?
I'm fine with second, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I know I
All
said
in
it.
favor?
Aye.
No board comments.
What?
No board comments?
Oh, you said you wanted to go. I'm sorry.
Too late.